Over 2 years ago, I was approached by a couple called Mary and Tony who asked me to come and have a look at some building work. Not unusual, but what was unusual, that this job turned into the big build. I'm here to have a chat with Mary and Tony now, who've kindly agreed to have a chat with me about the project, the highs and the lows, and everything they thought about the whole experience of having a job like this done. So please join me. I hope you enjoy it. Keep watching.
Your coffee's behind you.
Ah, well, everyone needs a coffee. Thank you so much. I must have been at the mat. You know, it's really amazing to sit here, like, after, I've known you for 3 years, believe it or not. First approached me and said, we're on a garden room doing, didn't you?
Yeah.
And that was the start of it. And I had no idea at the time that the big build would be a thing. Because I don't think you'd mentioned to me that you'd...
Not at that time, but that was in the process of being developed by the architects.
Right.
So nothing was... You know, if we didn't like it, we probably won't do it then. But
yeah, sure.
That's how it fell apart, fell in.
Because the garden room, I remember thinking, this is amazing, because you had a stable there, and the stable, you thought, right, we'll move the stable, and we'll make a garden room there. And at the time, everyone was starting to do garden rooms. It was just before the pandemic, but it started getting pretty popular, garden rooms.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was part of a bigger plan, potentially. And then... while I was building it, you said, oh, by the way, I've got some drawings and for this. And I mean, it must have taken a lot of foresight. I mean, a lot of people watch my stuff and ask me lots of questions about how do people go about having a building designed and all the rest of it. And I think it's really hard to actually put your finger on and say, well, you need to do this way or this way. I mean, how about you guys? I mean, how did you come
It was a mistake, not a mistake. When we had the design done by Jay, the man with the hole mate, you know, what's it called?
Screw part.
Gil.
That's how it all started.
And that's how you came into it, you see, because the architect said,
look at this
this video and this man here. And then he came on board and he said, well, if you are doing that, there's only one man to do it, which was yourself.
Oh, that's kind
No,
of
so, you were in the films. I've got the video.
Yeah, that was the video I made of Gil doing screw bars, and a lot of people have viewed that and watched it. And so off the back of that, the architect said, watch this video. It was the one that we made.
Yeah.
And you then contacted me.
Yeah.
Now, Gil said,
yes,
if you're having this done, there is only one person to do it.
Oh, that's kind
and
of
I've worked with him many times, and I thought, well, it's recommendation that makes, you know, a good build. So that's where we started, and no regrets. So that's good.
So tell me about, I mean, this build was a huge build because it was a building which consisted of a really old part, which was, I don't know, 200 years old or thereabouts, and it had been adapted and adjusted, and someone had already converted it into a habitable dwelling, albeit it wasn't done very well.
It's a cow shed.
And someone it had been extended. Okay, it wasn't too bad, the extension which was done in the sort of 90s. But what you actually did here is you've almost doubled the footprint in terms of living area, which is incredible, isn't it? By adding only a small bit.
Yeah.
Well, it was a 3 metre by 2 metre, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we went out that way 3 metres.
And
we went out that way 2 metres.
But only on this part here. So
exactly. Yeah, so what we're sort of sitting in now is the original kind of bit, that corner to this corner. So yeah, I mean, it was amazing really, because I could see when I got the drawings in front of me that the roof space upstairs could potentially be pretty good, you know, be big. But I think that if you can remember, the design of the roof was trusses.
Yes.
And I think I need to sort of come back a bit now. And I think if I have to get to the conclusion of this video at this point, I'd say that the success of a build is teamwork and partnership. So the partnership between you and I, for example, you're a motivated client because every time there was a decision, you were ready to take the decision.
Yeah. No messing about.
Every time there was information to you know, either find or understand, you invested a lot of time into it. And I think that a lot of people don't do that. And so a builder might say, by the way, we've got this issue coming up and we need to do X, Y, and Z. And you have to really get your head around it. Everything. It might be, can't put a pipe here, we need to put a pipe there. But the implications are this. And I think that that's why a job like this has gone fairly well for us all, because of the fact that you've constantly been on board.
And we've been on here on the spot.
Yeah, living
the whole time, living on the spot.
Yeah, how was that, living on the building site?
It was fine. There was no problems whatsoever. I mean, we watched her outside in the rain and the snow and we just waved.
But it is quite a stress though, isn't it? I mean, having building work done is a really stressful experience.
Yes.
Well, you always want it finished.
You do. I can remember many times you say to me, when will it be finished? And what's my answer?
Well,
Mañana.
don't know.
Yeah, and I think that it's impossible to say with every single build is different. It's like a prototype every time.
Yeah.
Every single build will present different problems, and the problems could be a myriad of things. It could be not being able to get the right labour at the right time. For example, there's a big crisis in the industry. The materials, there may be a shortage or availability, and if you can remember, the big issue here was roof tiles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you remember that when we started, we had to kind of allocate and find those roof tiles and buy them pretty early on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had to buy more than we needed just in case.
Yes.
So there was all those issues, wasn't there? Timber was on a massive increasing trajectory upwards. And so we had to do all of that. We had to forward buy a lot of timber. If you can remember, we had the stuff piled on the drive for ages, didn't we? Heaps and heaps of timber. Because for me, saying to you, I reckon this job's going to cost this much money, I mean, the last thing I want to do is come back to you and say, by the way, it's gone up by 15, 20,
Whatever,
30%.
yes.
And so I think that we got out of jail on that one. I think we were pretty lucky.
But I mean, ultimately, what we wanted was, it's easy to say, when will it finish? Well, yeah, we'd like to know, but being realistic, we didn't want for you to rush it. We would rather you take a bit more time and for the end product to be exactly what we wanted. And I think that's what we got.
And I think there's a lot to be learned there as well, because of the fact you can flood a job with labour, but what happens ultimately is people trip over each other, things get rushed, you don't get the finesse or the quality of finish that you would otherwise if you can actually do something in an order. So you put all of your stud work in, you put all of your insulation in, you put all your electrics in, then you put all your plasterboard in, and then the plasterer comes along. You don't start in one room and say, well, that can be plastered out, and you've forgot to put the socket in that corner. Because it just goes wrong, and you end up with this kind of disjointed finish. You can clearly see that it wasn't all finished at the same time.
Well, and the fact that when that does happen, when it could happen, you're in for another bill.
Yeah.
When you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So to project manage it the way you did, everything seemed to dovetail quite nicely, so that when a room was finished, it was finished. You didn't have to go back to it because we forgot this or forgot that.
I know, but I think the thing is about building work in general, especially small building work, domestic building work, it always changes. No matter, I mean, the staircase is completely different to as it was laid out in terms of originally there was kite winders drawn, which are really horrible to get up and down.
Yeah, because you've got small bit one side and a big bit the other.
Yeah, they're really not that practical. And thanks to the fact we were able to, as we go through the job, see an opportunity to increase the dimension, because an architect sometimes has trouble getting all of the exact dimensions of the existing building. So with your staircase, for example, there was a bit of false wall, which we were able to take, and it gave us just that much space to get us proper landings to go round.
But why was it false there? For what reason would they leave it?
It was, so you had the old skin of brickwork,
and
then they'd built a skin of blockwork on the inside for some reason to straighten it up, and that was literally just moving. So we were able to take that away when we stripped it out, and it gave us a much bigger footprint for the stairs. It was better for the headroom and everything.
Yes.
It meant that we could do what we did with the landings and that sort of stuff. So what's been the hardest thing about having building work done?
For us, there was nothing hard, because I mean seriously, because we were able to, we were lucky enough to be able to build the garden room. So, when things were going ahead, we whilst we were here, it didn't really affect us. So there was nothing hard about it at all. It was nice to be involved with decisions, and it was nice that as the bill went on, when you could see improvements could be made, you voiced them.
Yeah.
And then I think probably every single one, we said, well, yeah, we can see the advantage to us with that. Go ahead and do it. I mean, they're all positives. That I can't see a negative about any of it. Even though it's a long time.
Yeah.
We ended up with exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, and you took a big bold step here. You took a big decision, and that decision, you're off grid here. You've got no gas here. You've got electricity, and you had oil before. So you've now gone completely sort of self-sufficient. You've still got electricity coming in, but you've got an array of solar on the roof and a heat pump. How are you finding that?
That's fine. We've never been cold. But then, the more you read about the nightmares in the newspaper, it's because they're fitted into properties that are just not insulated.
Yeah.
They're not ready to take them.
Yeah.
We, because of the insulation that you
Yeah.
provided, we put in here, heating that we've got, was perfectly adequate for it. And then with the addition of the burner in the lounge, just that little bit of extra, that's all you need. Upstairs, we've virtually no heating. You don't need it.
So the upstairs heating doesn't come on, because we did.
It hardly comes
It
on.
hardly. I mean, I
You can touch.
probably heard it once or twice over the winter, and that's it.
Which is incredible, because it's a big space up there.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is taking the heat from down here. It's rising up the stairwell. And if the doors are open, it's going to dissipate into the rooms. And that's, I mean, that's the theory. It doesn't often work in practice. But when we did insulate this, even that took us nearly 3 weeks just to put insulation in. A lot of people think that's crazy. You never spend that long doing that. But actually, you do have to do that now. To get the result that you need, you have to invest the time into it and make it absolutely perfect.
But if you didn't have that stuff around it,
The Gapo tape.
then you would have lots of little.
Well, it'd probably take longer because you'd have to get it absolutely millimetre correct.
Yeah.
And then you'd probably have to hold it in somehow. So that's extra.
Yeah.
Whereas the gapper tape actually pushed it in and then it's solid.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just so glad that you bought into that idea as well,
Yeah.
because it is effectively does push the budget a bit, because you have to buy the tape and the labour to do it. I mean, obviously, I'd work that into the job.
Yeah.
I would. That's my spec. That's what I want to do. I want to deliver a
Yeah.
job which is going to work effectively, especially with the heat pump and everything else. And also the heat pump was the first one we'd ever done as well. And so this journey for us was.
Yeah.
We had to educate ourselves. Gary went on courses. And fortunately, the company that I use for all of my wet underfloor heating and stuff that I've been using for decades has got their own renewable side now. And I think that they were one of 3 people that we were talking to.
Yeah.
If you can remember, there was Valent.
Yes.
Yes.
We used a lot of their boilers. There was New Heat, and there was another company as well, which was an independent local firm, which we didn't really have a lot of joy with.
No.
But New Heat were the only ones that could actually specify it properly, design the system properly, but we did have to wait. If you recall, there was a shortage of heat pumps.
But yes, there was a weight on things going through, I suppose, a bit like the battery.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah. So you're actually due to get that this
Tomorrow.
week. Yeah.
It's being installed
So you've
tomorrow.
waited about what, a year?
Over a year.
Over a year for a Tesla
Powerwall.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
just goes to show you, if that was mission critical in a job, your job's held up by a year or so, isn't
Well,
it?
you'd probably say, I won't do it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm not going to wait a year for it.
Yeah.
But we had the time and it was fine for us.
Yeah, and you've already got all of the cabling in the right places. They're
Yes.
going to come along and just stand it in, adjust their work, and away you go. Okay, so what about living here? What do you feel differently to you as you did before? Because before, when you lived here, it was the existing building. How different is it for living in?
Immeasurable. I mean, it's
Yeah.
from what it was before to what it is now. It just feels like a luxury build.
Like a new
Before it was,
build,
if you like,
doesn't it?
more quaint and that's
Yeah.
nice, but then don't look at the corners because they're not straight or there's this that faults here and there. Now you look at every corner, it's straight. There aren't any faults. And every time you walk in, in the morning when the sun comes through there,
Yeah, nice.
sit here, have breakfast, and it's just beautiful.
If anyone's watching this thinking, how much does all this sort of stuff cost? Now, how it works is, this is how I work with my customers, as you know, is I'll go, here's a schedule of works. This is what the job looks like, and everything in black is what I've costed in.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what that's going to cost, and everything in red, like bathroom fixtures and fittings, decorating, anything like floor coverings, curtains. It's impossible for me to put a price on that.
Yes, because different people like different grades or whatever.
Exactly. So although we have a figure which is based on what I call core building costs, because I know roughly how long the labour takes for that, I know how much the materials will be for that, because it's I have an experience in this sort of stuff. And then off the back of that, there comes times where you have to make decisions. Now, so with regards to your bathrooms, you took my advice and you just went down to a reputable local supplier you had one point of contact and they sourced everything for you.
Yes.
And I mean, a lot of people tend not to do that when I tell them to do that. They tend to go off and buy from here, and all that ends up with is aggravation. So we don't know whether this delivery's arrived, who's tracking that. You've got your plumber on site, and there's no... Where are the taps? Oh, I don't know if they're on back order, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that by taking that advice as well is good, because in the long run, you save money.
Yes.
And you've got someone there you can pick the phone up to, the girl at the place, and she's no problem, it's on hand and everything else. So I think that part of the success of a building job is actually being able to identify a good thing to buy and a bad thing to buy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we never wanted second best anyway.
Yeah.
We would rather, because this is a once in a lifetime thing for us. So to get it right the first time, then apart from periodic maintenance, that's it. It doesn't need to be changed. It doesn't need to be upgraded. It's as good as you'd want it to be.
And with regards to electricity bills, because I mean, are they fairly reasonable considering you're powering that?
Do you know what? It's very difficult to say, is it reasonable or is it not? You know, we know that we have solar panels all over the place. So, and we must be using it, although we don't know the ins and outs behind it at the moment. We will do when they do the power wall.
Yeah.
It must be using it. We have spoken to some various neighbours that are a bit more knowledgeable than we are, that have said, you know, what we're paying for electricity is actually quite reasonable. Bear in mind, everything runs from it, both the heating, the cooker, you name it, lighting.
Yeah.
And we've made it as efficient as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Energy efficient, and we think that, they always sound expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm sure someone pointed out that that would be probably twice as much as we're currently paying.
Yeah.
And that would horrify me.
Yeah, and I think the thing is as well is if you look at what you're paying at the moment for electricity per kilowatt hour and halve it, which is, and in fact it's double what it was I think 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So if you actually thought, well, how much would we, if you looked at your bills, let's say they're 400 a month, and it would be 200 a month.
Yeah.
On the old tariff, you know,
Yeah.
before this crisis that we had in Ukraine, which forced the energy prices up apparently.
But the thing is, we would have had oil. You have other things that you add on to it. So we've got to put into think that,
that we don't have gas.
We don't have oil. We don't have
gas,
anything else. So it's obviously going to be a bit higher, the electricity.
Of course it is,
because we're doing everything electric.
You are, and you know, my place is energy efficient. I've got gas and electric. I've got no alternative energy. I've got no like solar, which I did have, because I mean, like my gas and electric is just astronomical. It's more than my mortgage now.
Yeah.
I do charge a car.
Yeah.
But
nevertheless, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But then again, I do forget to turn light switches off. And my computer's on all the time. 2 computers are on all the time. So I'm guilty of not turning things off. So I should be going around doing that, shouldn't I?
Well, you should, or there must be a way with technology if you can say, turn it off, please.
Yeah, Alexa.
Yeah,
don't
or whatever
say
they
that
use,
out too loud in case there's an Alexa in the background.
No.
So you've been there and done it, and you know, you've got, I must admit, from my point of view, you've been amazing to work with because of the fact that you're very patient. You never seem to get upset about anything. You know, just very nice.
I don't think we've got, you know, really stressed out. We haven't had arguments between us or anything. No. Like when you see these programs on television, you can sometimes, you know, they're having an argument about what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it can just be they're just being unreasonable.
Yeah.
You know, because of our business background.
Yeah.
We know things will go wrong.
Yeah.
And we know never to point fingers.
Yeah.
Just it's a problem. What do we do to get out of it?
Yeah, exactly.
Decision made, finish, it goes away.
Move on. I know, it's, I think that's a big, you do watch the TV and you see all these things, you're reading the newspapers, there's a skills shortage crisis in our industry, and there is, and it's only set to get worse and worse. So if anyone's watching this thinking, I want to find a builder to do this, it is really difficult, and you will get ghosted. Your current people, they'll never get back to you, or whatever, or you might get lucky, and it's really difficult to actually find anybody. I mean, you know, I don't know how people go about it, to be honest.
We were just a bit of luck, really.
So what's next then, guys? You're going to have anything not built?
Well, you're finishing the gazebo.
Gazebo, yeah.
Well, the wood's arriving today, as you know. So that'd be nice.
Yeah.
You know, it's what else can we do?
I know.
You know,
well, you're definitely not going to move now, are you?
No.
Right.
Oh
that's
no,
good.
you wanted to do the garage.
I want to do the garage.
Yes.
I
Work on the garage, where we can do that as well.
I want to improve it. I want to make it slightly bigger because my car won't go in it without something sticking out the back.
Yeah.
And I want to make it bird proof because whatever you put in there gets pooed upon.
Yeah, well, we need to make sure that the nothing can nest inside the gazebo as well. We need to take away all the flat ledges, don't we?
Yeah.
Because they will.
Yeah, because we've eliminated flat ledges there, didn't we? By actually the beams fitting against the ceiling cladding, so nothing can.
That's fine.
Yeah, because the blue tip will find its way in the tiniest little place. You know. Do you remember when we stripped this house out? The amount of the rats.
Yeah, dead rats.
Because they used to get in the house, didn't they, and climb up the cavities and go into the roof and eat the cables. Because all the cables that we stripped out were armoured cables, weren't they?
Yeah.
I've never seen a house wired in armoured
and
cables.
Obviously you realised why it had to be armoured when you got rid of it.
I know, and it was so nerve-wracking for us thinking, right, we've got to make sure that we don't see any, other than mice that come in through open doors, which they do, and rats, believe it or not, we had to make sure that we're not going to get any more in.
No.
And
well, yes, when you realise when we moved here, we couldn't believe it. We used to listen to all...
but at any one time upstairs, you lay in bed and there would be a rat scurrying around within probably 2 feet of your head.
Yeah, could you
But
imagine?
It's in a recess.
Like an elephant running around. It was so noisy.
I know, because the plasterboard's like a drum, isn't it? And they're sort of scurrying along. Could you imagine? Oh no. Well, funny enough, the same at the house we're working on at the moment, similar location. They have got a much bigger problem in mice. It's finished now for some reason, but the amount of mice skeletons we found, unbelievable. Hundreds and hundreds.
Not rats.
No, mainly mice. But you know, every time you lifted a bit of insulation up, they were dead. So someone had gone in and put poison traps down, and killed the whole lot of them in one go. I've seen where they come in. They come up running up the side of the corner and through a little gap in the roof in one spot.
I saw a programme this week, and I think it was probably David Attenborough what it was, and it showed a field mice, which is a tiny something, going straight up a tree.
Straight up
a tree.
There you go. You wouldn't think it, would you?
No.
They can climb up smooth brick walls. Yeah. So there you go. So anyway, I've got something for you, Tony. Hold tight. Hold tight. This is now. We got a couple of bits for your shed because you've become a bit of an expert with power tools now, especially this Milwaukee stuff.
Well, your power tools, yes.
Your power tools. So yeah, there's a drill set there, which is similar to what we use, and there's the blower that you see us cleaning with quite a lot. I'm just gonna turn this phone call off. 1 second. Yeah, so these are for you to go with the other 18 volt bits that you've got, but there's some new batteries and another charger in there.
Wonderful.
And they're 5 amp hours, so they'll power everything pretty much. But yeah, I know that you like your power tools.
Well, yeah, what was evident when you were working, because we gave you the work shed to work in. You know, you had something to do everything, every job that you had. Yeah. And I thought I sort of got a little bit envious there. Yeah. I wouldn't mind being able to. Oh, I need to cut a piece of wood. You cut it.
Yeah, exactly.
Drill it, whatever.
I know, we're very lucky, aren't we? You think the technology we've got now as builders, you know, we can build the whole house cordless. We don't even need any power, you know. We can just charge our batteries in before we come to work, bring them on site, and away you go. So,
thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And much safer for the building trade.
Much safer.
Have cables lying everywhere.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the biggest thing. From a health and safety point of view, you can't electrocute yourself, or very difficultly electrocute yourself, whereas you can with 240 or 110 volts. So yeah, so there you go. So yeah, thanks so much for having us anyway for the last couple of years, on and off.
It's been a pleasure.
It's funny when you'd left.
Was it? Yeah, I never feel like
having been there for working for 2 years plus. You know, you get used to seeing faces. You get used to, you know, I wake early every morning anyway. You know, I know when you arrive at 7:15 and. You know, either Ed's opening a gate or you're opening a gate, and you know, think right, they'll be making a cup of tea and then they'll be working in 20 minutes.
And the funny thing is, just reminding me as well, Ed learnt his whole career here. Yeah, he's learnt his trade here. So someone has actually created their own future. Yes, right here in this house, they've learnt their trade. Everything they possibly need to know about domestic building work.
And so it's working with you still?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Thinking about that as well, you've obviously kept us in tea and coffee and milk endlessly, and even cold drinks in the fridge out there. So yeah, we were well looked after. That's why we didn't ever want to leave, you see.
Yeah. That's Tony's idea.
And my logic was, if you're happy where you are doing this, you're always going to be doing a good job.
Exactly. And the other thing as well is, the weekly application. So because I manage your work, sometimes you have to pay this person, this person, this person, this person. You know, as a project manager, you know, I want you to make the payments to your suppliers and everyone else. Don't want it to come through me. It's unnecessary turnover.
Yeah.
But every single week without fail, you made those payments. There was never ever a delay, not of a second.
Well, every payment will be done by return, because that's how, when we had our business, I expected our clients to behave.
But that, for a builder, for a contractor, it takes all that stress away. Will the plasterer get his money on Friday? Because the plasterer is going, I haven't been paid, because he's, you know...
And they're on at you.
And they're on at me. And so, and I just think that, you know, people will come and work for me because they know they're going to get paid straight away.
Yeah.
And they know they're going to get paid directly from the client as well, which means that they can work to you as a proper subcontractor, you know what I mean? As a proper, you know, you're dealing directly with them. And it's just like when you buy all of your windows and doors, you're buying them directly from the manufacturer stroke installer. You get the guarantee with them and they come and fit them for you. It's no good. I mean, I don't want all that unnecessary turnover coming through me.
Yeah.
No.
Generates unnecessary turnover. It just creates big turnover, which I don't really need. All I want to do is come and earn my money for managing and doing my time. And, you know, that works quite well. And also, there's a lot of savings there, legitimate savings, because a lot of small tradespeople are too small to charge VAT. So by working directly for you, managed by me, you haven't got to pay unnecessary VAT.
Yeah.
So it's good for everybody, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good for everybody. So anyway, thanks again, guys. I've got our delivery turning up soon.
Right.
And better get on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
So that is it. This is finally finished. I've got Simon here. Simon is our building inspector. He's got a company called County Building Control. Yeah, and Simon's basically obviously inspected all the way through. Now that's it. That's the big build completely finished. And I'm on to the next thing now. So keep tuned, and maybe there's some more good stuff coming up in the future for you.